Dream Car Update presents another dramatic story where arrogance meets karma, and someone learns a very expensive lesson. Today's story is titled, HOA Called Cops and Fined Me for Fishing, So I Bought the Lake and Banned the Entire Neighborhood. My name is Marcus Reed, and in 2026, something happened that changed an entire neighborhood forever. I had taken a short vacation to relax at a lakeside cabin deep in the woods of northern Georgia. After working non-stop as an engineer for months, I wanted two things: fresh air and quiet water. The cabin I rented was old but peaceful, and the lake behind it was calm, still, and perfect for fishing. The rental agreement was clear. The cabin sat on privately owned land, with full rights to use the lake, fish, swim, kayak, or do whatever I wanted. The lake wasn't controlled by any HOA and wasn't part of the nearby neighborhood. In fact, the cabin owner specifically wrote, "The lake is private. Use it freely. No HOA has any authority here." I was excited. It was the first real break I had taken in a long time. Early the next morning, I grabbed my fishing rod, cooler, and folding chair, then walked down to the water. The sun had just risen, the mist lifted slowly off the lake, and the air smelled like pine trees. I cast my line into the water and finally felt at peace. That peace didn't last long. About 30 minutes later, I heard angry footsteps stomping through the grass. A woman in her mid-50s wearing a bright blue tracksuit and sunglasses marched toward me. She carried a clipboard and had a badge pinned to her shirt that read HOA President. Just great. She didn't even say hello. She went straight into full Karen mode. "Excuse me. You cannot fish here. You need to leave immediately. This is a community lake and only HOA residents can use it." I blinked, confused. "Ma'am, I'm renting that cabin right there. I have written permission to fish on this lake. It's private property." She crossed her arms. "No, sir. This lake belongs to our neighborhood. You cannot fish unless you're a member or pay our recreation fee." I shook my head. "That's not correct. The lake belongs to the cabin owner. I have the rental agreement right here." I held out the paper. She didn't even look at it. "I'm issuing you a citation," she snapped. $100 for unauthorized lake usage. Pay the HOA within 10 days or we will take legal action." I couldn't help but laugh. "Ma'am, you can't issue citations on land that your HOA doesn't control." "Wrong thing to say." Her voice rose to a dramatic scream. "Oh, really? Let's see what the police say about that." She whipped out her phone and dialed 911. I sighed and sat back down, waiting. She stood there glaring at me the entire time, arms crossed like she was the sheriff of the lake. 15 minutes later, 2 county deputies pulled up near the shoreline. She ran to them the moment they stepped out. "Officers. Thank God. Arrest him immediately. He is trespassing on community property and refusing to obey HOA regulations." One officer looked at her, then at me, then at the cabin. "Sir, do you have paperwork for your rental?" he asked. "Yes, officer," I replied calmly. I handed him the agreement. Both officers reviewed it, stepped aside, checked their tablets for property boundaries, and came back. "Ma'am, this cabin and the lake are not part of your HOA," the officer said. She blinked rapidly. "That's impossible. The lake touches our neighborhood. That makes it community property." The officer shook his head. "That's not how property works. You cannot control land you do not own. This man is doing nothing wrong." Her face turned red, then purple. "So you're taking his side?" The officer sighed. "We're taking the law's side. You need to leave before you trespass on private property." She stormed away, yelling that this wasn't over. And unfortunately, she meant it. The next morning, I stepped outside the cabin and found a printed violation notice taped to the door. HOA fine, $200. Final warning. Unbelievable. I called the cabin owner, Mr. Lawson, an older gentleman with a calm voice. I explained everything: the citation, the cops, the harassment. He sighed deeply. Marcus, I'm sorry. That HOA has been causing trouble for years. They keep trying to claim the lake even though they don't own a single drop of it. I asked if he wanted me to file a complaint. Instead, he said something unexpected. Son, if you want to stop dealing with them, you could buy the lake. I nearly dropped the phone. What? He chuckled softly. I've been thinking about selling for a while. I'm getting old. It's 58 acres of land, including the entire lake and shoreline. If you buy it, those HOA folks won't be able to bother you ever again. He named a price. It wasn't cheap, but it also wasn't outrageous. And something inside me clicked. You know what? Let's do it. A week later, I signed the papers. The lake, the surrounding land, the access road, all of it became legally mine. And that's when the fun began. I requested a meeting with the HOA board. They assumed I was coming to apologize or negotiate. They were wrong. I arrived with a folder under my arm. The HOA president was sitting at the head of the table, wearing the same blue tracksuit, tapping her pen impatiently. Are you finally here to pay your fines? She asked smugly. I smiled. Actually, I'm here to give you some information. I opened the folder and placed the deed on the table. I am now the owner of the lake, the shoreline, and every inch of land you've been claiming is community property. The room went silent. The HOA president's jaw fell open. No, that's not possible. I slid the official county survey map across the table. It clearly showed the lake fully inside my property lines. One board member